$5,000 grant, $10,000 grant, $50,000 grant, big grants. But will they be in that continuing resolution bill that's expected to be passed by December 11th that will have stimulus in it? Exciting developments today as a push is underway to get stimulus into a budget bill. It's not unusual. It was done the last time around, and this could finally be the opportunity to get stimulus during the holidays. But what about hazard pay? Will it be in there? How about that $5,000 grant? How about that $10,000 grant? How about that $50,000 grant? Will those be in the bill? And if not, how soon thereafter will you get the money? Meantime, viewers of this channel continue to get big grants, big free money. CARES Act 1 money, escalated benefits as well, and they're also getting EIDL. I'll explain in this video how you could be getting this money. It's all developing meantime across the board as other breaking news today as well. The Labor Department and a new report says that they were misstating unemployment numbers nationally in the weekly unemployment jobless claims on Thursday. Wall Street was down sharply today. And reaction to Janet Yellen's appointment was good today. So will she step in and kick Nancy to the curb? Meantime, what are the cows going to think? The cows got Cowcino. The cows got stimulus in the last continuing resolution, the CR bill. So is Sirloin going to get another Cowalack? We'll join him shortly on Being a Mitch, but this is Purple. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's afternoon to LA. I hope you're good and safe. Sirloin will join us in about 15 minutes from now on Being a Mitch, so don't miss that at all. He has an opinion about this new stimulus in the continuing resolution. He singularly was the man who got stimulus in the last CR, so he'll give his reaction. But if you've not subscribed to this channel, please do, because I'm getting viewers money right now. Not 5 days from now, not 5 weeks from now, and not 5 months from now. And I'm getting viewers thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. Today I had a nice person send me a DM and said, because of you, I got a tuition grant. That's a new one. Yesterday, I had all these viewers saying there was one utility company that because of you, I push, and I got free space heaters. Really incredible developments across the board. But ultimately, I'm getting viewers money for rent, utilities, and food. And I don't mean $100 stimulus check. I mean 5, 10, 15. I've had a lot of $15,000 grants that viewers got, and I've had mostly $20,000. I've had a couple, two $20,000 grants, but I've gotten upwards of about $300,000 in grants for the viewers of this channel because of these recordings. And now it's your turn to get it. So please subscribe to this channel. Also like this video. It really helps in the algorithm rankings. In this video, I'll be going over what will be in that continuing resolution bill for stimulus, claims the news reports. Will there be the $5,000 grant or the $10,000 or the $50,000 grant? If not, where would they be? How about this SSI and SSDI $2,400 stimulus grant? Where would that be? Hazard pay. Is it back on? Is it back off? Is that going to be in the CR? And when would that land? Meantime, I'll go over more about how to get this incredible sums of money right now. When we talk about the CR, we're talking about things happening, in about a week from now as to receiving the money. But when I'm talking about CARES Act 1 grants, I'm talking about getting the money right now, today or tomorrow. I'm not talking about weeks at a time. I'm talking literally 24-hour turnaround. So we'll go over that as well. A lot of developments, and let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here today is that the CR, the continuing resolution, the federal budget bill, has a deadline to be done, and that deadline is December 11th. The deadline would require it to be passed by the Senate, be passed by the House, and then land on the president's table to be signed all by December 11th. Ultimately, if the president wants you to have stimulus and there's no stimulus in it, he may veto it just to shut down the federal government, so that's shut down when Joe Biden comes in. Yes, you're thinking exactly what I'm thinking. Mitch McConnell wants stimulus in it. Nancy Pelosi reportedly doesn't want Mitch McConnell's kind of stimulus in it and may try to not pass it in the House, which would mean the federal government shuts down and there's no inauguration and nothing really happens because there's no money to fund the federal government. It's a confusing situation, but the great news is that ultimately it's a threat to get your stimulus because their checks won't be sent. During the holidays, congressional leaders won't get paid because they didn't give you stimulus. Oh my God, it's so dirty, I love it. So let me go over the deal provisions. It would include a stimulus check, FPUC retroactive to September, PUA extension, extended into January, FPUC, student loan eviction moratorium, mortgage forbearance, and rent eviction moratorium. So you wouldn't be evicted during the winter months. You wouldn't be foreclosed upon. You wouldn't have to pay back your student loan debt. You would get unemployment continued. You wouldn't worry about your unemployment lapsing on New Year's Eve. It's like, congratulations, happy New Year's Eve. And there's no unemployment. No, that would not be a reality anymore. This would solve that problem, thank goodness. And then finally, it would give you FPUC retroactively to September, which would amount to about $5,000, $6,000. Bam, right in your account, because it's been a couple of weeks in September. It's not been 2 weeks ago. And then another round of stimulus checks. Now, ultimately, there's a couple things you have to understand about this. One, we're at the mercy of news reports. So the news reports are based upon reports of what they've heard is going to be happening. Second, news reports have been wrong before. Third, ultimately, this is dependent upon the GOP really doing this and not capping out and then just sort of rolling over. The GOP on all faces looks like they want to do this. They've always said they want to do unemployment. They want to do PPP, which might float in this as well. And they want to do eviction moratorium and mortgage forbearance. They sort of want to do these. And that stimulus check is not a very big leap for them because they said they wanted to do as well. But ultimately, the push you need to do is get them to repurpose that CARES Act 1 money as a $5,000 stimulus check. So then you're wondering, well, how about the $10,000 grant, and the other $10,000 grant, the $50,000 grant, the rent grant, and the CDC grant, and the food grant, and the SSI and SSDI grant? Are those, and the hazard pay grant, are those things going to be in there? I'm going to go through each and every one of them, starting right now. First, hazard pay. It would not be in this. This is an emergency bill. This is an emergency CR bill, continuing resolution bill, that would basically carry over carry over Americans through an emergency stimulus add-on to a budget bill, to carry them from just now to January. Hazard pay would be in the big second stimulus package bill to be done in January. Next, how about EIDL grants? Possible. Republicans love EIDL. They've always have. Would they do another round of EIDL for new applicants? They might, yes. Would they do the retroactive EIDL? That's the EIDL where some viewers applied within the deadline, but then never got the $10,000 grant, or applied and only got $1,000. No, that's sort of a Democratic thing. That's dependent on Javita Carranza being gone, and she's not gone in the month of December. She's gone in January. So now that would not happen in the CR in any universe. Would a PPP grant occur? Yes, they would do another round of PPP in this emergency CR. Absolutely. There's lockdowns across the country. Businesses are being shuttered. Mitch McConnell and the Republicans love PPP, which is a grant, and they would absolutely do another round of PPP, of course. How about a CDC grant? No, I don't see that happening. That CDC grant was in the HEROES Act of May. It was a very big grant that would be paid to frontline workers. It's hazard pay-ish, but it's not hazard pay. It's hazard pay-ish because the recipients are essential workers. But would that float in this? No, it's too expensive. I don't see it happening. Next, would the Lifeline grant be in there? Oh, absolutely, categorically no. The Lifeline grant, which may need a lifeline of its own, is $50,000. Do you see Mitch McConnell giving anyone a $50,000 check? I don't see that ever happening. Do I ever see the $50,000 Lifeline grant ever happening? Not unless the Democrats take the Senate. I just never see that happening, ever, that bill. How about rent grant? No. And this, not to sound discourteous in any way, I'm just explaining how Republicans think. You don't need a rent grant if you have an eviction protection. So and you have a mortgage protection. So this is basically how the economics of it thinks. If people will not be, if there's protection to ensure that people are not evicted, then they don't need a rent grant now. They'll need a rent grant later, but they won't need it now. And so long as the property owners are not foreclosed upon because they can't make their mortgage, because they're not getting rent, then they don't need assistance as well right now either. They do need assistance later on when these eviction moratorium and mortgage forbearances expire or close to expiring. So no, I don't see a rent grant in this program. I see a rent grant in January. Next, how about the food grant? I don't see that in this one as well. So then we turn to hazard pay. Hazard pay in this? I don't see it. I don't see hazard pay in this bill. And to tell you the truth, you shouldn't even be thinking about hazard pay because hazard pay takes too much time. It requires setting up the agency, funding the agency, applying to the agency, waiting to hear back, submitting paperwork, getting the funding. That's just days and days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks. No one is ever going to get a penny from hazard pay before December 31st. It could never happen. Then how about the CDC, the SSI and SSDI grant, the $2,400 stimulus grant that Biden wants you to have, the $200 every month all the way up to December 31st. Is that going to happen before in this CR bill? No way. That does not belong in a CR. That is clearly a Social Security bill that needs to be done as a standalone bill. The Republicans want to fix Social Security. There's countless Republican bills that have been introduced in the last few weeks just on Social Security and benefits. And the Democrats want to fix it now with Biden. So ultimately, it needs a separate bill. It should not be in a CR. It doesn't belong there. It's too confusing. So then the question is, what grant money can you get now? What's important to understand is this CARES Act 1 grant money. That was $150 billion given to states and then given to cities and counties in the first stimulus package of March. That money is not going to be around more than about 15 to 16 more days. The money is expected to has a deadline to be returned. I've not looked up the deadline in recent days, but it's generally around December 15th. And that's why I've always called it use or lose. They have to return the money or lose the money. And that's why there's a rush to issue these grants. They're the rent grants, the utility grants, and some rare circumstances, hazard pay and stimulus check grants. That's why New Mexico issued a massive stimulus program just a few days ago. That's why reportedly Broward County in the neck is closing out their rent grant on December 1st. That's why reportedly certain states are saying, hey, you know what? We have found a little extra money. Here's another round of rent grants. Some viewers have reported that New York is doing another rent grant. I've not seen it yet. Some viewers have reported that San Diego is doing another rent grant. So these things are sort of rushing to market very quickly because they're going to be gone. What's important to understand is that when you're looking at the free money that I'm going over on this channel, and we're looking at escalated benefits, EIDL, and CARES Act 1 grants, EIDL is going to be gone in the same amount of time. I'm warning you right now. EIDL was created and funded by CARES Act 1, and that funding's not going to be there forever. And Javita Carranza just has a few more days left in her tenure. So I believe anything that's in SBA for CARES Act 1 for EIDL will be gone by mid-December. Then, so get that EIDL right now. Then, when we're talking about escalated benefits, that will still be around. Escalated benefits is basically money from the state. Has nothing to do with federal money, so that is not an issue. But then the big one is the CARES Act 1 money. The food, the rent, and the utilities that the cities, counties, have. They have to use it or lose it. And for example, in some cities, one city in Hawaii is actually giving a debit card to go spend money at local restaurants because they're trying to figure out how to spend this money right away. I mean, it's fortunes of money they got to spend right away. And so what I need you to do is get this rent grant right now. You go to your city hall, you go to your county hall, or you go to your state housing authority, call them up on the phone or go on their website and apply right away. Utility grants are a little bit different because a lot of them are funded by just the utilities companies' bank accounts, not by the state. So those may still continue past December 15th. But you should also look for utility grants by calling your utility companies. Finally, if you have questions or concerns or confusions how to get a CARES Act 1 grant, go to youtube.com/LALATE/community, and that will show you the volunteers, no less than 9 incredible volunteers who are available to assist you and treat them as family, and they'll treat you as family as well. Finally, EIDL. I promised to go over a little bit more about EIDL today. It's important when you do an EIDL that you do it correctly. You need to ensure that you know who's applying and that you don't mess up the numbers. Numbers, very basic, like social security numbers, accounting numbers. One of the very first hit videos of this channel, it may be the first hit video of this channel, was I found out that the reason why viewers were denied their EIDL is because they mistyped something. They mistyped a routing number on their checking account, or they mistyped their social security number, and those small little errors cause them to be denied. So don't rush and double and triple check your work before submitting it. When submitting it, understand that if you're applying for your work for Uber and Lyft, which appears on your Schedule C, then you are the applicant. Under that situation, when it says name of business, it's your name. Name of checking account, it's your name. Checking account type, it's your checking account, not your business checking account. It's your social security number, and it's your Schedule C, line 1 and line 2. When you're applying for a business, which is an LLC or an incorporation, you do not choose the button self-employed or independent contractor. You choose the button that says 500 small business, 500 employees or less. That's for when you're incorporated or LLC. You put the LLC's EIN or corporation. You put its business address. You put its business income and its business account. Don't give a personal account when you're applying for a business either. It's very simple, and if you follow these simple steps and ensure that you have a 570 credit score from Experian Vantage 3.0, again, Experian Vantage 3.0, before applying, don't do that afterwards, do it before, you'll get approved within 24 hours and the money will be right in your account. If you have questions or comments in today's video, drop them in the comments below. I might feature them in tomorrow's recording. To find your Experian Vantage 3.0 score, go online and also do the Experian.com/boost to raise yourself 25 points for free if you think you're at about a 560 or something and you're too close to the line. One thing which I have not said in this entire last 2 weeks, and there's so much to remember when I do EIDL, because I literally am the single top authority on EIDL applications, having done hundreds and hundreds of videos on this channel, having got the viewers $5 to $25 million in EIDL. One of the most important things to remember when you're doing an EIDL is that the numbers need to be exactly correct. Don't mess up the numbers. Don't mess up a social security number or an EIN by typing in a wrong digit. And the most important thing is remember that before they approve you, they're going to pull a credit check that will take your score down 6 points. So don't be right on the edge of 570, because a 6-point credit pull will drop you 6 points. So you need to be, comfortably above 570 by a few points. If you have questions or comments in today's video, drop them in the comments below, and join me in 15 minutes from now on Being a Mitch. Big developments on the CR and the continuing resolution. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay about life for more.